Hello and welcome to JewishMedia.tv. This is the 7th in our series on happiness. Very often we want to be happy, would love to be happy, but we're plagued with worries. I mean, which human being doesn't have worries of one sort or the other? So what's the answer? Well, King Solomon says in Proverbs, Darga b'lev ish yisicheno, that if a person's got worry in his heart, yisicheno. Now what does this word yisicheno mean? So the Talmud gives two explanations. The first is yisicheno means remove it. In other words, just stop thinking about it. Well, I think as we all know, not thinking about the problem isn't that easy. In fact, they've done studies. For example, if you tell a person not to think about a white elephant, the chances are he'll actually think about the white elephant. And the more you try not to think about something, the more in fact you think about that thing. So what is the answer? The answer is not to not think about the thing you desire not to think about. Rather, the idea is to refocus and think about something else. So that something else could be the study of the Torah, get yourself involved in a very interesting aspect of Torah, or it could be, if you're not that spiritually inclined, or perhaps the Torah is actually not doing it for you, or perhaps you're not in the mood. We're all human beings after all. Focus on something else, have a hobby, and engross yourself in that hobby. Take something that you're so engrossed in that you don't actually have time to be able to think about your worry. And inevitably, it's very likely to work. But there's another answer as well, another interpretation of Darga b'lev ish yisicheno, that if there's worry in the heart of man, yisicheno, according to second Talmud's second explanation, it means speak it over. Yisicheno from the expression of suach, la suach, to speak it over with someone else. Now what's the advantage of speaking over with someone else? Well, first and foremost, the other person may see things from a perspective that you don't. You know, we're all trapped, so to speak, in our own limited way of looking at the world. Bring another person in, and your horizons broaden. You're able to see things from an alternative perspective. Or he's able to see things from an alternative perspective, or she's able to see things from an alternative perspective, and then share them with you. And then perhaps you'll find your way out of the problem that way. That's the first advantage of speaking to other people. The second advantage of speaking to other people is actually in the speaking itself. You know, through speaking to another person, what actually happens is that you articulate what's actually bothering you. Very often, when you've got a worry, the worry is so overwhelming that you actually are not able to focus on the solution. You're more focused on the worry that is engendered. Here, when you actually have to articulate it, you gain clarity, and without even hearing what the other person has to say, perhaps you'll find within yourself an answer through that extra clarity in expressing and articulating your worry. The third advantage is that when you're actually speaking to another person, that person listens to you. And you know, there's no greater way of showing love to another person than to listen to that person, to let the person pour out their heart and hear them. And when you see that someone's actually interested in your worries, maybe he doesn't have a solution, maybe you haven't found extra clarity, but the very fact that there's another person there listening to you, and you know that he cares about you, is concerned about you, is able to give you a strength that you could not possibly have on your own. So these, at any rate, are some of the ways that the Talmud tells us, based also and elaborated upon more in the Hasidic philosophy, to be able to deal with your worries. The first of all is try your hardest to be able to refocus onto something else. Then speak. The second is to speak to another person, with the three advantages in that. The first is that perhaps he'll be able to give you insight that you don't have yourself. The second is that perhaps through expressing yourself you'll find greater clarity. And the third is that even if none of those help, you'll feel a lot more loved now than you were before. Bye for now from JewishTV.media on this beautiful sunny day in Sydney. Signing off, Ben Zion Maleki.
Jewish TV, Media.